I think a lot of us always forget, because we're in it, that other people don't know what happens. They just see a bird with a ring and they don't know all the stuff that goes in it.
Obviously, when ringing started 100 years ago, or more than 100 years ago, the goal was just to find out where birds go when they leave Europe, because we knew that they were gone at one point, but we didn't know where they go. So just, getting recoveries from different countries or from Africa, ideally, obviously, gives you an indication of where the birds migrate in winter. But most of this is known by now, so you might think that ringing is no more important, but it is more important now than probably ever. Due to climate change and land use change, migration routes are changing as well. So we can we can get an idea of how all of these environmental changes also change the behavior of birds. And we can see how birds can adapt to these changes by, for example, changing their migratory route. So a lot of short distance migrants by now, they used to migrate to Northern Africa, but by now many of them stay in Spain, or they even winter in England, because there's a lot of feeders in gardens in England, so a lot of birds that go to feeders, like finches or so. Even blackcaps, they never used to winter in England, but now they do. We set up nets in the vegetation, and we set them up very early in the morning, so that is before sunrise we open the nets. And then every half hour we check if some birds have been caught.
The handling part can be tricky, especially at first. We're talking about very small species of birds. You always have to be very, very careful. So there's a bit of stress in that. You're feeling the pressure of such a small and fragile animal, so you have to be very focused. We try to do this when we have a reason to, because it's very intrusive for the birds. It can be very stressful. There is always a risk, even though it's very minimal, to injure the birds while we manipulate them. So I love it, but you need a valid reason to do it.
You get the birds to the ringing table, and the first thing you're going to do is see which species it is.
Ring number is CY31.
CY or CX?
CY. Oh no. 9 CY. 9 CY 3178. You got that?
317.
CX 45801.
The ring has a number, so with this number the bird is identified. We know exactly which bird it is. It's like your passport number.
Got 73 for the ring.
You have to use strength, but at the same time you have to be so gentle with something so small. You can feel their heartbeat. You
73.
can feel, if they're really skinny, you can feel like almost the bones. And so it's like you feel really connected to this being that you're trying to collect data from, but you're trying to respect in a way.
010.
We take a multitude of measurements, including age and sex if we can, and then we measure the wing, we take the weight of the bird, and then we can see if the bird has a brood patch that oftentimes both sexes of birds will use when they're incubating eggs and chicks.
It's a Tornsanger.
We also measure the amount of fat on the bird's belly, which is a good indication of preparation for migration.
And you can put fat too. And age 2+. It feels very, very small and very delicate, but at the same time they are delicate and strong, like they are not going to snap in your fingers. Do you think it's big enough to be a male?
It could be, yeah, I think so. So it's quite a lot.
And
It's quite grey. Yeah, it's quite grey on the head.
Put it back.
Yeah, I think you can put that a male. Okay. And mark this M. Oh wait, never mind. It's asymmetric.
Oh.
This is interesting. Yes. When it's growing body feathers, it's P. When it's growing wing feathers, it's M. It's a way to get very close to the birds. When you look at it, you can see the brood patch, for example, and you know, oh, okay, this bird has just had children, and now it's putting on fat for the journey to South Africa, so it's...
Yeah, I know.
I feel much more involved, and I think it's really, really fascinating how the birds, you know, this tiny little bird, it makes a journey to southern Africa, like it passes the Sahara. It's just amazing.
You like see birds from a distance, and like you kind of the resolution of birds through binocular is like, you know, the shape, you can see the eye, and you can, you know, often make out great feather detail, like seeing it up close and like being able to see your reflection in its eye and like, you know, see it like really kind of up close. Kind of makes you gives you a better sense of maybe how it's perceiving the world, which is pretty cool.
Can you try to age him, or you think?
Come out of training,
Yeah,
but he looks very old and very mature.
very old and wise.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do these people want with me? How stupid are you? Oh, at least they don't get tangled. That's great. For every environmental question you have, if you want people to save the environment, they also need to know what they do it for. And they need to understand, for example, like, why do birds need habitat, or why do they need big spaces? And I think if you can get the people to look at the bird this close, it will also get them more involved, and they will care more and be more ready to take action to save the environment or to protect the environment.